Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Lifestyle of Adri. My name is Adrian, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the beginning part of my story of becoming paralyzed and the 2 weeks that I was there at the hospital. Immediately after the hospital, I was transferred to an acute rehab center, and I have tons of amazing stories from that place. Currently, I am home. I am doing rehab 2 times a week, outpatient, and it is working really well. I have had lupus since I was 15. I am currently 29. I turned 29 in the hospital. Yay! It was so much fun. I've grown up to live with my lupus and kind of learn how to manage it and deal with it. It was really hard to get lupus at a young age, but I'm very thankful I was because it's a lot easier to grow up and learn to live with it than to kind of be smacked with it right now. It is a very difficult disease. I've gone through a lot with it. I'm still going through a lot with it, but that's why I'm doing these, to share my story and to help other people out there struggling with lupus or other autoimmune diseases, because it is not easy. All right, here we go. It's Monday. I've been here since last Thursday. Today was a really good day. I walked all the way down the hallway, but I'm just really homesick. My mom just left. I just really miss my family. I miss my baby. This is really hard. This is really hard. I'm trying to get stronger as fast as I can, but I'm just lonely. This is hard. So to start my story, kind of give you a little bit of back history. In June, I was in the hospital for about 10 days. I had a fever of 105.3. We couldn't figure it out. Doctors couldn't really figure it out. They ended up finding like a 2-inch mass like in my armpit region, and they put me into surgery right away to take it out. Even the biopsy, they couldn't really tell what it was. Since June, my health has kind of just not been good. I was throwing up a lot. I was losing a ton of weight. When I went into the hospital in August for being paralyzed, I looked so sick. I was so skeletal and just shriveled down, defeated, exhausted. I just was not in good shape. So the way it started was I was spending the night at my dad's one night, and like throughout the day, I just couldn't go pee. And I just assumed it was a UTI. Women get UTIs. They're very common. You know what they are. You know what they feel like. And I actually had an appointment with my rheumatologist the next day. Rheumatologist, like my lupus specialist. It was just getting more painful throughout the day. So finally at 4 in the morning, I was in so much pain, I couldn't take it. I woke my mom up and told her, like, I have to go to the ER. She's like, why? What now? What's going on? And I said, I haven't peed in 24 hours since 4 in the morning yesterday, and I'm in a lot of pain. She's like, what? You haven't peed at all? I said, no. I drove myself to the ER. I don't know how, but I had to because, someone had to watch the babies and I had to go. I get to the ER and I tell them, I can't go to the restroom. Luckily, there was like nobody there. I guess the 4 o'clock is a sweet spot because I've waited like 6 hours in the ER before. They put me in right away. They were able to drain my bladder. We waited like a couple of hours to see how things went. And then they, just said, okay, we're going to send you home and follow up with a urologist. So they sent me home with a catheter. I know this is not like the most flattering story, but this is the truth. This is a cold, hard truth. This video is going to be brutally honest, and I'm going to put it all out there. So they sent me home with the catheter, and before leaving, my feet started to feel really numb, like just weird. I can't really explain it, just like tingly and numb. And I told the doctor, he came in to, ask if I'm okay before they discharged me, and I let him know, hey, my feet feel weird, like numb. I can't really feel them. So he kind of just like squeezed them and like touched my legs and said, well, do you feel that? I said, yeah, but it doesn't feel right. Like something's off. It feels really tingling. And he said, had you been in an accident or fallen recently? No, nothing. He's like, okay, well then you should be fine. Just follow up with the urologist. And they sent me home, and I told him like my legs are feeling numb and whatever. So I stand up off the bed to get ready to get all my stuff together to leave and go home. Immediately when I stood up, I just like fell forward and I caught myself like, here's the wall. So I stood up and it was just like boom, and kind of caught myself on the wall and was like, whoa, what is going on? So he said, it's fine, I'll be fine. So I like waddled over to the wheelchair, and they wheeled me out to my car. Well, I got in my car and it just started kind of freaking me out. Like I couldn't really feel my foot, and I was like going to drive and I couldn't really feel the gas or the brake. And I know this is super dangerous. Looking back on it, I should not have driven. I should not have driven myself home. However, I didn't know what was going on. And how was I even going to explain this to my family? Hey, sorry, I've been in the hospital for the past 2 months. Can someone come pick me up at the ER, leave my car here, and come back to get it? Because I can't feel my feet. They would say like, what are you talking about? Go tell the doctor you're at the ER. Go back and tell the doctor. And I tried and they didn't listen. They said, you're fine, go home. I remember kind of like moving my leg with my hands like on the foot pedal for gas, on the brake, on the gas, on the brake. And just thinking on the way home like, please do not let me get in an accident. Luckily, I live really close to where I went. I don't really like to be one of those people that just complains about their problems or is like, oh, this, that. I just kind of take it and deal with it and just whatever, just deal with it. I also didn't want to freak my family out because I was kind of freaked out and didn't know myself what was going on. I didn't want to freak anybody else out. So I finally got home and I tried to get out of the car, and now the feeling was kind of up towards my thighs and my hips and just my whole lower half. And I was able to somehow make it into the house. I remember walking and kind of like leaning on my car with my hands. I was like leaning on my car walking, and then as I was walking to the door, it was like a baby giraffe. Like I would walk and my legs would buckle, and I would take another step and my whole legs would cave in, and I was catching myself like kind of on the floor, on the wall, whatever I could put my hand on just to make it inside of my house. Somehow, I don't even know how, I finally made it into my house and on the couch, and I was sitting down kind of just like processing, okay, what is going on? It's gonna go away. Maybe it's just because of the urinary retention. That's what they said it was in the ER, was urinary retention, which they said is fairly common. So maybe it's just that. So I remember needing to go change my catheter, and I took my legs, like I couldn't move them. I just thought I was moving them off the couch, but they weren't moving. So I had to take my hands and like pick my legs up. They felt like cement. I couldn't feel them. And I was trying to get off the couch, and I remember like pushing myself. My grandma and my uncle were sitting in the living room at the time, and finally my grandma was like, can you get up? Do you need help getting up? And there's times where I do have a lot of trouble getting up with my arthritis and my lupus. It's not uncommon. I have aches and pains. So, sometimes like my mom will help pick me up, or, just sometimes I need help. It wasn't one of those feelings. It was a completely different feeling that I had no idea what it was. I never experienced. I didn't understand it. And I was a little freaked out at this point. And just kind of in shock and confused. And I told her, yes, I can't get up. And she's like, well, what's wrong? Are you in pain? I said, no, it's not painful. I just don't feel anything. But it's not painful. I just don't feel anything. She put a chair there for me to hold on to. My uncle kind of picked me up, and I made it a little bit almost to the bathroom, and I realized like I can't even bend down to change this thing. I just decided to sit back on the couch and wait till my mom got home, because I was more comfortable asking her to help me change my bag than my grandma or my uncle. It's your mom. So finally my mom got home, and I asked her, I said, hey, I know you're really busy, but I really need to change my catheter. Can you help me? She's like, yeah, just give me a minute. She takes care of her stuff, comes over and asks like, okay, what's wrong? Like, are you in pain? Are you hurting? I said, no, I'm not hurting. I just can't feel my legs. And she's like, what do you mean you can't feel your legs? I said, I don't know, Mom. I cannot feel my legs. Like, I can't feel from the waist down. She's like, what do you mean can't feel? Like it hurts, it's numb or it's painful? I said, no, it's like pins and needles tingly, and I can't feel it. I can't move my legs. It's weird. Like, how do you understand at 29, like, I can't move my legs? That phrase, how does a parent understand that? What do you mean you can't move? Like, what's wrong? I don't know what's wrong. At this point, like I said, my health had been in really bad declines. I lost a ton of weight. I looked really sick. I don't blame my family. I understand where they were coming from. But to their concern, they were worried that maybe I was severely depressed or possibly had an eating disorder because of the constant throwing up. We never thought it would be anything crazy like this. So I understand and I forgive them, and I get it. I get why they gave me the tough love and why they kind of pushed me to do things, and because they were genuinely concerned. For the past couple months, they kind of see me laying down a lot, just not doing well. And depression is something I struggled with a lot when I was younger and I first got diagnosed with lupus, but I've done so much self-care and self-work mentally to overcome that. And I realized like the fine line you walk in those situations, and it's very easy to go to that dark place. So it's very important to catch yourself right before that. And I've learned when to catch myself right before I have those moments or, kind of spiral downwards. And I kept telling him I'm not depressed. I promise if I were sad and depressed, I would be open about it because I know how much help benefits you in those situations. So if this was it and I was depressed, I will tell you. Because there's been times when I was dealing with postpartum where I told my mom, I'm not okay. Something is wrong mentally. I'm not okay. I need help. I don't understand what's going on. So she picked me up and was kind of holding me off to the side, and we were kind of trying to walk and my legs were dragging. And she was like, come on, Adrian, like, you gotta move. Because they'd seen me laying in bed for the past couple months, like just not doing well. She's like, come on, you gotta move. You gotta break out of this funk. You really gotta move. And I was telling her, Mom, I'm trying. She's like, come on, move. So then she kind of turned me like behind her and had my arms like this, and it was kind of walking with me like this, and I was trying to follow her, and she was like, come on, walk, Adrian, walk. And then I just yelled like, I freaking can't walk, with other language. There was other... Use your imagination, the language we were using. I said, I freaking can't. And she's like, yeah, that's it. Get mad, get angry, get motivated, walk. And, she's trying to help me. And I'm yelling, I freaking can't walk. I can't walk, Mom. And she's like, come on, you need to move. And she's yelling at me and I'm yelling back at her, I can't. I'm screaming like, I can't. And then I just fell. I completely fell off of her. Luckily, I fell like on my side and I almost hit my head, but I didn't. She screams, Adrian! My baby screams, Nana, you dropped my mama, you dropped my mama. He's crying. My mom's freaking out. My grandma's yelling, what happened? Did you throw yourself? What happened? And I'm sitting there on the floor screaming, I can't feel my legs. Like I'm yelling at my family, I don't know, I can't feel my legs. I can't walk. And everyone's like, what the heck is happening? Thank gosh, my aunt is a physician. My uncle got in touch with her right away and was like, hey, something's wrong. She can't feel her legs. And so my aunt, had mentioned it could be something with my spine. We got to go back to the ER. So he picks me up, kind of helps me to the bathroom. My mom takes care of my catheter and we're like, okay, we're going to try to get back. And again, as soon as I moved from holding onto the sink to her, boom. I just fell. I hit the ground again. At this point, I had no feeling whatsoever. Before, I could kind of feel pins and needles in my legs, but at this point, nothing. Completely paralyzed from the waist down. And this had happened within a few hours. Within 2 or 3 hours, I went from being okay to completely paralyzed. At this point, we were all really freaked out. We decided not to call the ambulance because they take you to the nearest hospital. And the hospital that they would have taken me to, they didn't have a trauma center. So we went back to the hospital that I was at for the urinary retention, who sent me home. We had to figure out how to get me there. My uncle had an amazing idea. He put me in an office chair. I remember him saying that he tried to put my feet on the little pegs 3 separate times, and every time he put them on and went to push me, they just kind of drooped off like jello, or just were completely limp and would drag and drag. In hindsight, I don't know why they didn't just turn me around and pull me, but you don't think of those things in those situations. So he's pushing me. My mom is in front of me holding my legs up, pulling my legs, and they're kind of scooting me there. It was a mess. We were just all what is going on? Bless my uncle. He definitely got his workout for the day in during that whole time, picking me up and helping me. So we finally were able to get me into the car, and we were driving there, and the whole time my mom is dead silent. And I just felt so terrible because I know she has a lot of work, and it's here I am again, back at the ER. Here I am again, you guys having to stop your lives to take care of me. Having a chronic illness also comes with a lot of guilt, I feel. I will speak for myself personally, but I imagine others feel this too. You feel like a burden to the people around you. You want to be independent, but the fact that I physically I couldn't just take myself. I felt like a burden to everybody. And that's a really heavy weight to carry on constantly, because I constantly feel like a burden to my family and my loved ones. And I feel really bad and guilty for it. Even if they tell me I'm not, that's how you feel. That's how I feel. And so we're driving and she's dead silent, and I'm like, oh, she's mad. She's mad that she has to take me to the ER and spend all this time. And so we get there, and she tells me I'm not mad at you. I'm mad that they sent you home. You told them something's wrong and they sent you home. Of course she wasn't mad at me. She was mad at the hospital. So we get there, into a wheelchair, into triage right away because of everything that was going on. I remember asking the nurse, do I have to wait a long time? Like, I'm really worried. Do I have to wait a while? Well, the triage nurse was like, yeah, it's about a 4-hour wait. And the look on my mom's face was like, no. She's like, she was here yesterday. She told you something was wrong. You sent her home anyways. That's not happening. You get me a doctor out here right now who can take a look at her, because I'm not waiting another 4 hours in that waiting room. She was just here. The nurse was kind of like taken back, and she was right. And, you know, my mom told her, look at her. Look how sick she looks. Like, if this were your daughter, would you be okay with that? And so they brought the ER doctor out from the back. He came in. He did all these tests. He asked me all these questions. And he started, like, poking my legs with needles, hitting it with all types of hammers and devices and whatever they use for reflexes and stuff. And I couldn't feel a thing. And that's when I started to get really freaked out, when he was like, poking me with a needle. Do you feel this? Do you feel that? And I just said, no, I don't feel anything. I asked him, do I have to wait a long time for a room? And he said, no, we're going to get you in right away. So they put me in the room, and he came in. He kind of explained everything that was going to happen. We're going to give you an MRI of your spine. We're going to do a spinal tap. He's like, urinary retention is very common. Urinary retention and losing feelings in your legs, or if we see something in the MRI with your spine, that's bad. I think the hardest question I ever had to ask anybody in my entire life was, will this be permanent? And he just like looked at me very honestly and was like, I don't know. I can't give you an answer for that. And it was very hard. My mom was there with me the whole time. So they take me back. They do an MRI. It's like an hour long, and it was crazy. They had like pillows over my head and stuffed in. And then they had this like cage, literally like a cage over my face that I had to sit through, and it was a freaking nightmare. If I opened my eyes, it would be like the cage and then the wall, so I just kept my eyes closed the whole time for as long as I could. I do my MRI, come out, they do a spinal tap, which is they basically stick a giant freaking needle in your spinal cord or in your spine and drain fluid out to test it. It was very painful. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I was a strong girl, but it was very painful. Very painful. Little by little, they started shuffling doctors in. We kind of had to go down this checklist. And the first doctor was a neurosurgeon. He came in and he said, it doesn't look cancerous. You know, that kind of rules me out. There's no need for me to come back. It's not that. Next was infectious disease. We don't see any bacterial infections. We don't see any infections in the spinal cord. We are going to do some more tests, but we don't think it's this. So after those two were ruled out, the ball kind of went to neurology, and neurology came in and was like, you know, we see a lesion in your spine. You have a lesion. Normally lesions go like this, but mine was really spread out, which was weird, and they didn't really understand, or they just hadn't seen very often, if at all. They just haven't seen like lesions go like this. They're like, we are trying to figure out if it was a stroke, like a spinal stroke, just your lupus attacking your spinal cord, or what the heck this is. So every doctor that came in, before they even started talking, I'm like, let me call my aunt. And I had my aunt on the phone, and they could explain the labs and the test results and everything to her. And she was kind of there guiding us, because me and my mom were just a mess. We didn't understand anything, and she understood everything. So it was such a help having her there. When the ER doctor and her were talking, they just kept saying like infart, afart, just something like that. And finally, when they were done, I was like, can somebody explain to me like in basic terms? Because all I keep hearing you say is fart, infart, afart, this fart, whatever. What the heck does that mean? And everyone kind of started laughing, and that's just part of my nature, to try and crack a joke or lighten the mood, because sometimes in hard situations you just need a laugh. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to be a hot mess and just full of anxiety. So I always try to keep things light. They started laughing. They're like, that's a stroke. And then I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh, okay, so you're trying to figure out if I had a stroke at 29. They weren't really able to slam dunk diagnose anything. After that, I went into the hospital room, and they started me on antibiotics just in case it was some crazy infection that they hadn't gotten results for, you know, just to have me on those to be safe, because I am very immune compromised. The next step that the neurologist decided to do was to start a 5-day steroid IV drip, 1,000 milligrams a day for 5 days. And then after that, he put me on 60 milligrams of prednisone daily, hence why I have my moon face. My moon face is back. I had this in high school when I was on a high dose steroids, and my little chunky cheeks are back. And anybody who's taken high dose steroids for a while, you know this beauty. She's back. She's made another cameo, and let's hope she does not need to make an encore. They started me on the 60 milligrams a day, which I've been taking for a while. Luckily, there were a few other treatments that they said, you know, if this doesn't fully work, then we're going to try a couple other treatments, but the steroids worked really well. My body responded great to them. Little by little, I started being able to wiggle my toes, get some reflexes. I mean, not a lot at all.
Try to touch my hand. It's alright. Okay, good. Now with the left one. Go ahead and lift it up. Okay, good. Alright, now, give me a second. Are you ticklish? Did we talk about this?
Yeah, I'm usually pretty ticklish.
Alright, this is my ticklish. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want to see how you respond, okay?
Okay. It's actually tickling.
Okay. Okay, good. Let's take a look at those reflexes again.
Good.
Getting some reflexes back. That's good. Good. Some improvement. Okay, very good.
And then I've been actually working on this too.
Very good. Good. How about wiping your feet back and forth on the side?
Yeah.
Just side to side. Okay, good.
And I've been able to scoot them
Good.
and scoot them. And then
Good. Definitely an improvement. That's very good. I was able to stand up for the first time, take a few steps in the hospital.
here we go. Okay, 1, 2. Right. 1, 2. Okay, we're good. Okay, let me just stand a little. Okay. Okay. You got it. Thanks. Couple steps back. Okay, come up a little, my dear. Up, wait, this way. Good. Okay, we go. And we did it! I was in there for a full 2 weeks, and after that was when I was transferred immediately to the acute rehab center. But within that, I was at least able to walk probably about 35 feet with a walker was the furthest I was able to do in the hospital. The first time I ever walked, they put me in this crazy huge harness called a light gate, and that thing was massive, like massive. And I was able to, you know, walk to the end of the hallway in it, but it's like almost like a zip line where if you fall, you're just gonna basically sit in the seat.
With that left leg. You look good.
Wait for your fans, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Nice job.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your feet apart a little bit. You're walking a tightrope right now.
Okay.
There you go. If you have to look where your feet are, that's okay. That's how your body learns where your foot is positioned a little bit. I'll help you see. Okay. Take a break when you need to. You're doing awesome. Nice. You're crushing it. Good job.
Thanks.
How are your legs feeling?
Good.
We're gonna make it to the window?
Yeah, we're gonna make it to the window.
You got this. Get yourself ziplining. Here we go. You getting tired?
I'm gonna do it to the window.
All right.
Almost there,
There
guys.
you go. She's doing amazing. There we go. Perfect.
Woohoo! Good job.
You did it. Look at the drawing yourself. Good job. That's amazing.
Oh, you did so good.
You're so good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. And there's the window.
There's the window.
You did great.
So one of the hardest things about learning to walk again, you constantly have to think about everything you're doing. When I first started walking, I was walking like a very thin tightrope. My feet were kind of going in together, and the therapist had to keep reminding me, spread your feet, heel toe, make sure you do heel toe. Don't lean too far, support yourself this way or that way. It's little things that you don't have to think about on a daily basis that now all of a sudden you can't not think about that. You have to think about those constantly. And my brain was saying something, but my legs weren't doing it. Physically walking wasn't anywhere near as hard as the mental part of it, like constantly thinking, where it was tiring. I would be like, okay, separate your feet, do this, heel toe, make sure this, don't fall, lean this, keep your back straight, keep your hips in, keep your chest in. Like, it was just so much, and it was so exhausting, and the emotional part of it. I couldn't even roll over in bed. I had to sleep on my back, and I hate sleeping on my back. I've never in my life slept on my back. I'm a tummy sleeper. So that was definitely the hardest part, I would say, about learning to walk, was all of the mental things you had to retrain your brain to do. You're literally training your brain to tell your legs to do something that you learn as a baby, and you put it in the back burner. You don't have to think about that anymore. But now you're forced to think about it all, and it was really challenging.
Always scooting yourself further forward, okay? So your butt's not so far back is better. Okay. Okay. And then say hello, okay?
Okay.
And really far forward, nose over toes.
Okay, 1, 2.
Beautiful. Okay. Good job. And then get your bearings. You're all covered. Okay. Back. And then each time you're going to think about clearing your feet. So you don't want to drag them. Good.
Okay.
Beautiful. Looks like the right leg's a bit stronger. Get in it.
All right.
You can start to kind of turn so that you're not doing a really full turn later.
Okay.
So you kind of go at an angle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Perfect. And it's just your heart rate that's beeping, so don't worry. I'm keeping an eye out.
Pivot.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Pivot.
There you go.
Okay.
Go until you can feel the back of your legs on the bed if you can.
Okay.
By the end of it, I was able to do the 35 feet, walk to my mom, which is really cool. That's what I wanted to do, walk to mama.
I got it. Ooh,
You did it.
I did it.
You okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry if I'm
Okay.
overprotective
No,
here.
no.
I'm just gonna close your gown, okay? When you get tired, you let me know. I have that backup chair there.
Okay.
Look at that, moving your feet. Do you feel your feet?
Yeah, I can feel them.
Do you feel your hips a little bit?
Kind of.
That's good.
My first time out the door
Wow.
in a walker.
Got the tape, the line.
Yeah, I know,
There's a
right?
construction on the other side. I should have gotten that caution tape.
Oh, yeah, just in case.
Almost there.
Alright.
Wow.
Go to the quiet alley.
Okay.
Away from people. We're gonna be antisocial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be around other people.
How you feeling there?
Good. Good. Actually stronger. Maybe we'll go.
To this,
Maybe to the hand sanitizer.
oh, okay, handstand, watch that.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Worst come to worst, we have a
Wheelchair.
wheelchair here, okay? Like, Tour de France, Tour de Palomar.
Wow.
Tell mama, we made a U-turn.
Ah.
You can do it.
And that. Woo.
Arm coming towards the break room. Right.
Alright, we did the U-turn. Woo!
You can do it. Almost there. What's your goal?
To the line.
To the line. All right. Once you get that line, grab that chair and we'll give you a free ride home.
Yes. Almost to the line.
Yes.
Woo.
Yeah, you work on your arms, girl.
Yeah.
Your posture is good. You're
Okay.
keeping that shoulder up.
Okay.
And your crown, keeping your crown there. Perfect. The video is a good kind of body feedback. And
Yeah.
kind of see what
See what I need to
what
work
the
on.
muscles you need to work on and areas, limited view.
Almost.
You can do it. And 3 more steps.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. All right.
Woo, we did it.
We did it. All right,
Thank
good.
you.
To be completely honest, it was really hard. I had a lot of family come visit me and see me and support and everything, but it was really lonely and it was really hard and it was really scary at 29 to be unsure if I would need to be on a wheelchair for the rest of my life or if I would ever fully walk again. Even though I was walking, it was nowhere near normal. You know, that was a big kind of struggle for me, but I was so blessed and so thankful that my recovery was going well, that I was improving so quickly. The treatments were working that they gave me. They still weren't able to give me a full diagnosis. Their best guess was that maybe my lupus had attacked my spinal cord and that's what caused all this to happen. They just weren't 100% sure on something. So right after I was transferred to the acute rehab center, I was really freaked out because they were trying to find a place for me for a couple of days. Everything was pretty full. And they come in one day and are like, okay, well, you're leaving at 1. And I looked at the clock and it was 11 o'clock. And I said, what do you mean I'm leaving at 1? They're like, yeah, we found you a spot. Nobody told you this morning? I said, no, I have 2 hours. I don't have anything. No shoes, not even flip-flops. I had nothing. My mom took everything home. I didn't have chonies. I didn't have bras. I had nothing with me. Nothing. I got really freaked out. I started to panic. It was about 45 minutes away from my family, so a lot further away from my family, and I had a meltdown. I freaked out. And luckily my uncle was coming to have lunch with me that day anyways, so he's like, hey, I'll follow you in the ambulance, get you settled, it's not a big deal, we got this. He was awesome. He followed me the whole way there in the ambulance, got me all settled, left later that night. He was there almost every day in the hospital with me as well. I had a lot of family support, and I don't think I could have done it without any of them. So family, thank you so much. I love you. Appreciate you all. And I knew it would be a lot of work. They warned me acute rehab is a lot of work. And at the hospital, the most you get is like maybe 30 minutes. Like they come, they walk you around for a little bit, ask you how you're feeling, and that's it. It's nothing like what acute rehab was. It was just a crazy experience overall. And I'm so blessed to be recovering so quickly and so strongly. And it's all about that positive mindset. And so we started that whole process, and then we started that whole journey. I'll be posting my video of my acute rehab experience, and man, let me tell you, I have some crazy stories about that place. I tell these stories or I think about it and it almost doesn't feel real, like that crazy. Thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for hearing the first part of my story. I just really want to get more involved with my lupus community and be a voice and share my experiences so others don't have to go through it alone. And just know we're all in this together. This is a very, very difficult disease, and one of the most difficult things about it is how unpredictable it is. It really is so unpredictable, and it affects everybody in different ways. So reach out to me, reach out to someone you know, reach out to a community you can find online. Just know that you're not alone in this fight. We're all lupus warriors and we're all in this together. Thank you for coming. My name is Adrienne. If you like the video, hit the like, comment, subscribe. You know the spiel, do all of the things, and I will see you guys soon with my rehab story.